Hey everybody, good afternoon. It's July 26th. I'm Paul with Creek Homestead. Hope you're doing well. I'm smiling because I already made a mistake, which means I already have something to talk to you about. Got a new camcorder, so that way I can do my vlogging. Wow, she was right at my face. I'm out here without my jacket and veil, obviously, and I had just worked the bees, so they might be worked up a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. But so my mistake, the new camera came with an awesome boom mic as well, so hopefully it's a lot easier to hear me. I hope this will be the first video to check that. But when I was out here and doing all my work and I had my smoker going and my veil on and talking to the camera and yada yada yada, well, the boom mic is also its own powered unit, and if you don't turn that on, then you just get a bunch of silent videos. And since I'm not as cool as Charlie Chaplin, ooh, hi mama, I actually need the voice to, go along with stuff. So what did I do? I'm going to turn the camera around here and I'm going to show you and talk to you about what I did today on my, basically an inspection and more or less a follow-up on a couple of things. So let's check on that follow-up. So last week I pulled off a bunch of honey supers that were that had a lot of honey weight to them. And while I had them in the drying rack, I noticed that I had an excess amount of bees that shouldn't have been there. And what come to find out, I had a lot of brood in there because there's queen excluders on these hives now, but I had taken the queen excluders off this year so that I could maximize the flow of bees up into the honey supers, trying to just really get as much production as possible out of these hives. Now, of course, the queen went up in a lot of those boxes and laid eggs. I didn't realize how much. I thought it was just, a few, but really some of those boxes had hundreds, and all of those boxes combined probably had thousands of bees that I don't want just going to waste. So I put the boxes back on the hives and I put queen excluders under them. What I did today on the hives that have the honey supers on them is I went through all the honey supers to see if that brood is emerging and to make sure there's no new eggs in there. I just wanted to double check that for some reason the queen wasn't stuck upstairs and that she was downstairs where she should have been. And she was, in fact, on all of my my hives that have the honey supers on them. Now the goldenrod is in really good bloom right now. These girls are packing in pollen. I don't know if you can see any in here, but they got yellow pollen coming in like crazy. So anyway, I probably shouldn't kneel right in front of some of my other hives without protection. So what else was I doing in here? Well, I also did a real quick check on hive number 7, which I actually knocked down to just a single brood chamber because they did not have a lot of bees whatsoever. And the last time I had checked, the queen in there had not yet mated. Well, lo and behold, as of today, MQ exclamation point. That is a mated queen. She has eggs in there and she has larvae in there. So I'm really stoked about that. I'm going to keep that hive fed, make sure they get really good resources going in. And really my whole goal with them is make sure that they go into winter healthy and with good weight and just survive the winter. And that'll be a success story with that hive if that happens. Now last week I also did make up 4 walkaway splits. I took my cell builder and put that down to a single brood chamber, and I took those frames with good larvae and eggs in a lot of them, and I put them in here so that way those hives would be able to have good resources in order to make some emergency queens. Then my one viable queen that I had from my whole queen rearing experience, I put in this hive here with good resources, and they all have frame feeders in there as well. Well, this hive totally robbed out, completely not viable. However, the queen was still in there and still alive, which is fortunate because I realized last week, talking about mistakes or potential mistakes, is when I put that queen in there with those bees. Now bear in mind, the other 5 queens that emerged all got killed by the cell builder bees because they emerged too soon and they already had queen pheromone coming up from downstairs, so they just killed those queens off. Those queens were intruders at that point. Well, a lot of those bees ended up in this box, and I took the viable queen and I direct released her. Only after the fact did I realize, crap, I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have put her in a candy cage. However, she was alive, she was fine, she was actually in good spirits and had a lot of guards attending to her, making sure that she was safe. So I took her and those bees and I checked each of these boxes. The first 3 have good emergency cells going on. One of them is actually almost already capped. And the last box has good resources and larvae, but they hadn't had an emergency cell yet. So I have the queen in there inside a queen cage right now. She'll be in there for a couple of days. I'll let her pheromones sink into these bees, and then I'll go ahead and release her. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have a good queen already in here. I'll have some emerged queens in the other 3. Hopefully, there's a lot of hopeful here. They'll go out and mate successfully and come back. And then, in addition to my 10 standard hives, I'll have 6 hives in my nuke battery. And what I intend to do with these emergency splits prior to winter is I'll go ahead and get them into a single brood chamber as well. It's not my intent to switch over to single brood chambers, but I would like to see how successful that is, how it works out, how often I have to feed, what my varroa treatments look like. I do want to check that out, because there is something to be said for the single brood chamber, because if you can have all the bees still doing the same amount of work, you have to use less equipment, and less equipment just means I don't have to spend as much money. And when money's tight, then you have to think of these things. But at any rate, make sure to turn your boom mic on. Make sure your queen is downstairs where she's supposed to be, and good luck with any splits that you do. It's definitely dragonfly season, and I have a good amount of standing water near me as well, so I'll have swarms of dragonflies. So queens, I wish you good luck. And until then, I'll see you guys on the next video. Have a great week. Be well.